I would give you one, I'm mad at all your testimony. You don't have to know. It's okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Joe, I'm going to call on Joe Morris. I'm going to call on you for the invocation if you don't mind. And if everybody would please stand and stay standing for the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come here once again and make decisions that impact everyone. Please give us the guidance and wisdom to be able to go through with our citizens, making the right calls for our residents. Thank you for the beautiful weather, even though it's very hot. Thank you for the health and safety that you've offered us, Lord. In your heavenly holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Joe Morris. Okay, roll call. Everybody is here. We have a full council, much like we always do. You can always count on everybody to be here. We'll go ahead and move on to agenda approval. But before we do, under consent agenda, you've all seen an invoice for a repair at the sewer plant on one of the pumps. Joe, let me ask you a quick question. Has this been repaired yet, or is this the quote and the repair is coming?
So this is the quote for the repair. It has not been repaired yet. The last quote we got was around 5,000, and that was just to take the pump off station and to diagnose it. This has already been diagnosed, and this is for the repair parts.
And didn't it go up into the 15,000 range? Isn't that what I remember correctly? To get it after.
It was a could be, because they didn't know what was wrong with the first company.
Mhm.
This company is a little bit more capable. They can come in with multiple trucks with equipment. They found out the problem. It's the VFD to the pump.
Mhm.
So
And we found this company through Chris
Chris,
from Lakeview Environmental.
yes, he recommended two companies.
Okay, great, okay, thank you. So we're gonna add that down here under consent agenda, number 3B. For the GWI quotes. And that's the only change we're making.
So we're paying this invoice.
Yeah, well, once the work is done, it'll be paid.
Oh, okay,
That's the way you do, yeah.
approved things.
That's the way we try to operate is have them do the work and then you pay.
Okay,
Absolutely. But this is a repair that is not in place, so it has to come in from you.
Well, can I ask another question? It might not be the right time. You can stop me if it's not. The invoice on the hoops, the basketball goal.
That was in the budget.
Okay.
This is just a courtesy so you guys can see it's being purchased.
do we have anybody on that installation?
We know in the installation is that.
It should be early next.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Okay, with that being said, we'll go to agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions?
You're gonna approve it with that change?
This is just agenda. We didn't consent agenda yet. Sorry. You watch out for each other. All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Thank you. Go on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Please include the change.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the addition of invoices over 5,000, item number B for GWI for $7,498 quote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other question?
Yes. On the financials. This is the first I've seen them. I haven't had them to look at. I'm going to approve them without looking at them. Because I haven't had a chance to go through them. I don't know if
Have we got them? Yeah, they're right here. I'm just going to give a gentle reminder that this approval is that you have received the report.
That's what I'm saying, because I had not received it.
Okay. And
And
if you have any questions, of course, you're always welcome to contact Joe or the finance person and ask those questions. Okay.
are there any other conversations?
All in favor of approving the consent agenda with change mentioned, please raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, committee report, PDA, Ms. Davis, is there anything you'd like to share today?
No, yeah, thank you.
And Joe, Walter, and zone report.
Good evening, y'all. Always good to see y'all. Since our last meeting, I worked on trying to update the zoning administrative report to try to get caught up. And I did this, I believe, before we talked to Ned the last time. So really not a lot of changes currently. Stonehaven, which was the LDP y'all discussed, extending the permit, so that actually has been extended. So they're gonna start working in the spring. Really, we have nothing as far as new construction, we have no plans under. There's some active permits, some active construction at the LAS facility. We're going to discuss sewer allocation shortly. There's a couple of inactive projects and some completed projects. So I am guessing that once the sewer plant gets close to complete, we'll have a flurry of activity for some site plans. But currently, right now, we're just sort of waiting and fielding questions about various activities. So,
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Joe. The library report with Dana. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you. I'm excited news that I literally can't wait to share. Mayor, do you think you're a little bit of a competitive person? I think you're gonna like what I'm about to give you. This is a compliment for you. And then I have something fun to share with you. So normally our library circulates a similar amount of books to Loganville, Social Circle, and Morgan County. And when I say Morgan County, they have one library. Walton County has 4. So Social Circle circulated 7,000 books for April, May, and June. That's comparable to, sometimes the numbers that we have. Morgan County, the entire county circulated 13,000 books. Loganville circulated 13,000 books. Monroe, we never come close to. They circulated 26,000 books. But Little Old Walnut Grove Library circulated 31,000 books
wow.
between April and May. That's a number I never thought I would see ever, even 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see that number. So I think that's just a testament to the fact that we are, I say it all the time, we are small, but we are mighty, and we are doing big things here, and people are listening, and I think that's amazing. And I fully support every single one of our local libraries. I encourage our patrons to go visit them. We all have different things that we offer. So, but I do love the fact that I can say we are #1 in the entire region.
That's okay.
And we are the smallest library in the entire region. So I just think that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. And yes, of course, I attribute that to the great team that we have, but I also attribute that to obviously the community support, which I talk about all the time. And so that's really amazing. I think it's also pretty cool that we did double the triple, all of the local ones around us. That's pretty neat too. Let's see, what else do I have? Just some stats about summer reading programs. We signed up 482 patrons this summer. They read 5,799 books, which is great. We had 27 summer programs, and we had an attendance of 1,114 people for those programs. And the reason I bring up those numbers, all the numbers really, is because I start right now with collecting books for next summer. And we give those away as prizes to all the kids in the community. So if anybody has any gently used, anything from board books to infants, or infants to young adult books, anything gently used, we can offer a tax receipt. We just need to know how many are hardcover and how many are softcover in order for me to do that tax receipt. Because I realize looking at these numbers, it really does take a village. This is something I've done on my own in years past, but I'm not going to be able to going forward. These numbers are just beyond what I can do on my own. But I know our community is very generous, and to the point where I don't have to ask for a book, adult book donations, because we get plenty of those. We get plenty of adult prizes. We'll always take book donations, but we have lots of adult prizes all the time. Let's see. Mayor Mud Creek Reading Club is Thursday, August 20th at 11. Does that sound good to you? Now, in September, the DAR would like to join you.
Oh, that's great.
And they were hoping you could start their story time with reading the preamble to the Constitution. And they'll bring copies of that. So you'll kind of be off the hook a little bit, because once you read the preamble, they're going to kind of take over their full attire. And that's Constitution Week. So that's part of why they wanted to partner with you to do that. I didn't think you would have a problem with it, but but that's coming up in September. And the last thing I have is, I don't know, Mayor, if anything was ever communicated with you about the Mayor's Reading Cup.
The Mayor's Reading Cup?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I also did not know much about this, but I had one of our patrons submit this about the Mayor's Reading Cup. Apparently, it was a challenge on Beanstack, which is a digital, like reading tool, basically. So I wanted to read what Mackenzie Lloyd shared from this reading challenge for the Mayor's Reading Cup. And the activity was, it says, Mayor for a Day Vision. It's a Mayor for a Day Vision. Imagine you've been elected mayor of your town. To complete this final activity, visit the library and write a letter to the future. Share one big idea and one thing you would do to make Walton County the best place in Georgia to live. By sharing your vision, you are officially making your mark on your community's history. Once your letter is finished, bring it to the library to unlock your final activity badge and help your cluster in the final sprint for the championship chain. So I didn't really know much about that, but this is what Mackenzie Lloyd wrote. For my vision of the future, I have a big idea to help our community and animal friends. I would like to have a trash cleanup for our town. Then it will be a better place to live. Respectfully, Mackenzie G. Lloyd, Mayor. So I just thought that was sweet, and it was, very nice that she actually participated and took the time to write that.
What school is she at?
I think she's at Walnut Grove Elementary, if I had to guess, but some of you might know the Lloyd family.
I know some Lloyds.
Yeah, Danielle is mom.
I know Zeke Lloyd
Okay,
is in fifth grade.
okay. So I'm not sure if it's the same family or not, but they're wonderful. They're a wonderful family. And I thought this is great that her parents also encouraged her to participate in this.
Could you make a copy for me?
I want to give this.
Okay, great.
Actually, yeah, that's yours. And I told her I would share it with you, and I really wish I would have invited her to come, but maybe she can come in the future and share her vision as mayor.
I will reach out to her.
Okay, but that's all.
We have student now.
We do feed people at the library. As a matter of fact, tonight I need to go pick up, we have a teen advisory book club on Saturday, and I always feed the teens, because if you feed them, they won't come.
Thank you, Dan. Okay. All right, we are now on to the public comment. Did anybody register with the city to make it in public comments? We'll go ahead and move on to old business, discussion, elected compensation increase exploration, salary survey. And I think everybody knows where we are, but Joe, do you want to give a little flip?
Hello.
Hello.
So for today, the biggest piece is discussing who's got numbers that they would like to put out, for consideration, if it's something the council still wants to pursue. And, if getting the pulse on if the council wants to have a condition at all. So none of these are voting items, they're just items just to give this feedback.
Quick discussion. Okay. Is there anything that anybody would like to say? Well,
Yeah, I put out numbers a while back. And based on what I've been looking at and doing and the work that Joe brought in, I'm sticking with the numbers I put out a few weeks ago, which was 600 for council and 1,200 for mayor. And happy to discuss why I'm sticking with those numbers. Anybody wishes? I want to see if anybody else has anything first. Anybody else have anything?
I do. I think you all have seen this before, but just in case, go ahead and print it out again. This is just my memorandum to you guys about some numbers, but I think because of the discussions that we have had, the numbers that are reflected in here need to be more in line with the 600 and the 1,200. I'll bring you a copy. Lynn and Joe.
Yes, in the chat as well. I'll just. And my reasoning for looking at the numbers, the numbers Rachel has here and the numbers Joe brought forward. I looked at, they were sort of average for what goes on around us and cities some of our size. So we were in line with that as average. But I'm looking at Walnut Grove and where we are, we're not average. Okay, we have a city that's in the type of growth that most cities never experience. We're trying to build a physical city, which is going to require a lot more work from council members from here until that's done and once it's done. Also the homes that we have going in and the different things we have going on down on our 138 quarter, once that's all done. And so with all of that in mind, we're not average. We're above average and will be for a long time until we settle in. And in my mind, it's going to require a lot more work from council members. And I know that this council already works really hard and puts in a lot of hours. I know just this week, I got something unexpected. I put in about 30 hours just trying to resolve in my head what was going on with all of this, just as one example. And I think that all councils here, but I also want to encourage other people when we do change councils, that there's enough there that it's going to cover their expenses to be here and that we have good people step up. That will run to follow through and not end up messing up all the good that I feel like we're putting in place. So I'm not so much looking at, God, I don't have a clue if I'm going to run it or not right at this point. I've got a lot of factors involved besides my age, but so I don't look at it from that standpoint. I look at it as what do we need for the future? And I also think before all of this is in place, we've done so much since since I've been up with adding the necessary people that we need to have in office. They're going to require more of us. The citizens are going to require, more of us while we're still here.
And the
As
pace
well
is
as
only gonna build. The pace is only gonna build. With
And-
our more and better staff, it's gonna.
Right, and if we're,
Need our pace.
if we have good council people, I want to encourage good people to step forward. And unfortunately, I think if people feel like, hey, this is going to cut into my budget too much or my time too much, you got to have something a little bit attractive there. I mean, we're not trying to get a salary, we're giving a stipend. But I want it to be generous enough also that the next council right behind us doesn't necessarily have to think about, should we raise? We're kind of already there where they're more comfortable leaving it there for a while as we have our growth. And they'll maybe follow in our footsteps for also how we're trying to control growth.
Thank you, Nancy.
I agree and concur with all of your statements.
Well, as I said before, I don't think it's a good time to pursue this. And a few extra dollars don't bring in more qualified people. Because the last 2 elections that I ran for council, there was a raise available for council members. Nobody ran against me.
I think they thought you.
And it went from $60 to $100 to $400. And a few more dollars won't bring in you more qualified people. So I don't think you should pursue it now.
As an entrepreneur and a family woman, mother of young children, it weighs heavy every minute that I do not spend with my family or working on my business.
So you have to weigh your
To
options,
decrease
which is most important to you.
To decrease the burden in any way would most certainly draw better and more qualified candidates.
It hasn't to this point.
Okay, right. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. That's why we all have these discussions. I think there are 3 questions on the table. It was the numbers. It was, are we moving forward? And it was, does this go to committee or is this something council wants to do on their own? Is that correct, Joe?
And as far as us moving forward, that's essentially just telling me to put it on the work session. Like I said, there's no form of voting on this.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I think we go ahead and put it on the work session, Joe. I'd like to move forward in that way. It sounds like there is enough in favor, and we have some who are against, but I think final discussion to see if this is something that's going to be going on the next agenda for public. We have to do a public hearing. Let's discuss that at the next work session and go from there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna point out was that, this is not like the final say what we're doing here. This is just saying, let's move forward with the idea. And then the public can come forward. We're not voting on even a number. We just have to have a starting number.
You're right. You're absolutely. So let's go ahead and put it on the next work session
For what?
at the 6th and the 12th.
Okay.
And we will have a discussion there. We've talked about this quite a bit. So it shouldn't be an extensive discussion. I think everybody knows what everybody feels, but we'll make a formal decision and put it on the council agenda to move forward and then have a public hearing if that is what council decides to do.
And so as we advertise this, what is exactly advertised? Council and mayor stipend increase?
As far as the wording, I'm not exactly sure. It's 3 public hearings.
So it's gonna require an advertisement and you say what it is, you say that you're gonna raise the salary. I cannot remember off the top of my head, if you said we're raising it to. But we will point out that we're raising the salary.
Seems like the last time it used the terminology, that council is proposing a potential increase. Was the way it was worded versus they're getting ready to do it. It's more like they're proposing the idea of type thing.
I can send out, GMA has a great document on this. It's on a 6-page how-to. And I'll send that out to you.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Jim. Okay, discussion sewer allocation policy. Joe, would you come up with this one?
Hello. So this being a pressing matter, I wanted to bring it here even for discussion, as to not losing time. The goal of this discussion is to talk about those things that may or may not be wanted inside the policy. The strategic reserve is the biggest piece of that. If kind of get from the whole council, if that's something we want to pursue. In the original document from our last meeting, Joe Walter greatly assisted in some of the formatting. That's not in this one. This is just for discussion. But, it will look a lot better formatting wise. Something else I want council to start mulling over is if we do restrict residential per project, what that number looks like. I did add in the numbers for Gwinnett County, how they do their estimates. That's something else we are proposing to adopt inside of this policy. And then the last thing is continuing the prioritization evaluation. If there are things council sees on there that we should deprioritize or make a higher scoring part, then those are things I just want to be able to flesh out. So we can continue with this policy.
Did Joe have anything to add to this? Did he add anything to this, what you presented as well?
Not to this, but to the original document, there are some notes.
Joe, Morris incorporated some of my suggestions to the version you have now. And a lot of it was some textual stuff, trying to make it easier for the layperson to understand. And I think there's, depending on how you all go, we'll have to do some additional adjustments. But my main comments, part of my comments to Joe and looking at his sources, we want to have it clear enough to understand for you all and for the people that have been, you know, I get an email every couple of months from the same people asking when is this going to be done, they're working on it. To understand it, because I also suggested trying to do what you could do to make your record keeping, try to not overburden yourself with having to track things all the time because your staff is limited and pretty much you're going to use up your allocation considerably. You y'all can allocate it, then you're back to, you get on the waiting list. The other thing I want y'all to consider is there are a lot of communities that I've researched that have a fee for making application. And then there's, you all just kind of need to figure out what's your process for once you've given out an allocation, are they going, you're going to want skin in the game at that point. How much, how is still y'all can debate, but you want, most places make require the developer to either pay a portion or all of it, of their allocation fees, their connection fees into, and y'all can hold it as an escrow or something until it's done, so that both parties agree that it's, y'all are going to allocate to them, and there's something that you got in there, certain timeframes they have to make or they lose it. So you can't just get it, bank it, wait for times, because this is a precious commodity. So I think Joe and I are on the same wavelength. I think it does need a little bit more. I know with our schedules, we had told each other we would call and talk about it, but we haven't had opportunity, but I think that I appreciate him getting the input that I provided. And I think the latest version is certainly a little bit more streamlined. And I think ultimately there are some policy things he's asking for you all to decide how much you want. The previous policy was a certain amount allocated to residential, and then the remainder was to commercial, and then your residential has been allocated for a while with the enclave. Right. And there may or may not be a little bit left that's sort of free depending on the calculations, but with this next 50 and then subsequent amounts, just so y'all are comfortable when somebody asks, you can say, well, here's our process. Mm-hmm. Yes, you come in, you have a meeting, you fill out an application, we'll research it, and we'll give you an answer and tell you how to proceed.
I have a question. So both of you were talking about residential versus commercial allocation and thinking about maybe a percentage or whatnot, how that would be divided up. Do we have any viability studies that would show if we decrease or increase residential or commercial allocations, how that would impact our ability to maintain, grow, and expand current sewer? how basically what's the bottom line gonna do for getting funds to make our sewer system self-supportive?
No, that's a good question. Well,
Sorry,
No, that's fine. So,
I'm trying
look at it, well, I'm
Sorry.
not gonna try to do Joe's job as a manager, but from the standpoint of you've got a set amount with some safeguards for
Right.
emergency situations, and you have at any one time for treatment.
Right.
So you all have to kind of you all should just make a decision as a body. Because what you choose to allocate between residential and non-residential is gonna drive
Right.
or mixed use drive the growth that you
Correct,
can anticipate or that you want.
right,
And originally seems to be, that was sort, I wasn't involved in the front end discussions, having enough, having a certain allocation for enclave, and it's been utilized, and you have 150 new households of people here who moved here and who are on sewer and a couple of commercial customers. So if you all, I just put it this, if you all want to have the downtown center that we have talked about and planned about, then probably you all would want to consider allocations to non-residential or mixed use. Or basically they come in and give you their best guess at it, and you say, okay, that seems like a good idea, but you have to move on this quickly because our policy is,
Yeah.
you got to fish or
Right.
or throw the bait back. So ultimately, we can give you suggestions. There are studies where they've gone over this. I think probably some of Joe's source studies, they must have gone in great detail because they kind of had a lot of different factors.
yeah,
One day, hopefully I'll be in front of you talking about the next 250.
right,
And we're all, some form combination of us are here. And then you might could look towards things further out. There's also, you all may want to try to get sewer down to this neighborhood, there's funding that would help with that, but then there's a residential allocation for, especially for the neighborhood up here where it's, the lots are too small, all those things. So some of that you kind of just have to chew on and if you want us to find something, we probably can. I don't know if Joe has that in his satchel.
I just wanted more information to help me make a more informed and better decision, going forward, because what I don't want to do is cut off our nose to spite our face again. And making sure that we're prepared for what we're actually planning for the future, not reactionary.
And the good news is with the policy as it's sort of crafted is you've got flexibility built there. Council can always talk about it and make, amend it if something comes forth that's just, you really want to serve.
Yeah.
And the developer's willing to bear the cost of getting the sewer to you. What I don't know if y'all necessarily want to do unless it's trying to get sewer over this side of 81 is to spend a lot of your own capital just extending lines because the developers are willing to pay for it for the cost of connecting to your system.
Yeah.
Your role is to have is to review what they want to do and make sure the waste that you're going to collect is going to be able to be treated by your facility.
Yes.
Because there's some places where you just don't want it.
Right.
And which is another discussion.
Right.
I had a question and I asked Joe earlier and he threw it to the other judge. So you're still on. The retail and the residents in the downtown overlay area where we have like apartments and things. I think last meeting I asked about was that separate and whatnot. So then I came up with this question. I was trying to figure out, was it going to be like one tap to the building, but then the allocation would be split? And then how does that happen? And then I came up with the question of, okay, if it is split into the two, because, I'm looking at the numbers that were thrown out there and trying to decide, is that a smart move or do we need to change those numbers? And I'm like, well, how do we determine how much is being used by the residential portion? I know right now it's based on water usage. And so I don't know, does the water get separated with meters so that we have a better idea of who's doing what type of thing?
So that's a very good question. So part of that is you can flow meters, wastewater, sewage leaving the facility, but there's a cost there. I imagine that when one of those mixed use developments is proposed, Walton County Water is going to want to sub-meter the tenants. And imagine out at any of these proposed, there'll be a water main going in there, and they'll sub-meter it so that each tenant gets their own bill.
Okay.
If that's the arrangement with the,
It is.
and that's preferred from the utility provider's viewpoint. So in that case, the
amount of water used.
the amount of sewage, wastewater used can be determined. But I believe that when the preliminary discussions about allocation, you have a discussion with them. They provide you with their flow estimates based on your standards. You work through it, you decide that's what it's going to be. You have that number, but you won't know if they're going to get to there or exceed it until build out.
Right.
So part of it is having that discussion with them as tenant mixes may change and say, look, this is all you got. Or you say it in a more diplomatic way, but if you're coming in and you want another user that's going to exceed it, you have to come back to the table. Because that's allocation that could go somewhere else.
Right, and that's why because we can't, while we can set up an allocation, I don't want to see us every 6 months or every year having to come in and revise what we've set up. Or whatever our time frame is allowed for that.
Well,
I want
yes,
to be
ma'am. And I understand, some of that may be, but it becomes more, you get information
right,
and y'all, staff can make certain things, but it's the way it's set up, they're going to track it every 6 months. And if there needs to be a change, it has to come back before you want. Now, but as far as the ability to track it and because you can get the billing information as customers are set up from Walton County Water, and they'll provide it. So you'll be able to see what they're being billed for their usage. And then we should probably start logging that versus, we know how much goes to the plant. It might be trying to put some more work on staff to be able to eventually keep track of those bills to see how much you're how much you're selling volume wise and dollar wise, but see how it tracks against the plant. Because one day you're going to have a system that you're going to have infiltration inflow issues. So you're going to want to see, that's a good way of telling the difference. The more line you have, the more chance it is for non-revenue water to get in your system. You're having to pay to treat it, but you didn't sell it. Sorry, I got the weeds, Mayor, but that's something to think about. The big thing though is you will be able to know how much benchmarks, PUD, if it's developed. You'll know how much they say they're going to use. You'll verify and allocate that much. And you can even allocate that much based on the usage breakdown. And they would have to come back. I know how it is. They may have somebody come in there that wants to do something. And it's, they were pretty good about working the numbers. You always will have a chance to kind of decide what mix you want. This depends on your comprehensive plan and something.
If there's no other pressing, but what I want to do is this, is if we could, you indicated that you guys were not able to get together since the last meeting. Can we do that before the next work session? Can we come up with a more complete proposal of what this sewer ordinance is going to look like? If there's council members who have concerns, questions, things you would like clarified in that proposal, for instance, I too have that same question. And I'm throwing out this word apartment because it's an example that I'm coming up with. If you have an apartment that's built and it has eight apartments in it, if it's a building and there's 8 apartments in it, is that one tap? Or is that 8 taps? I'd like clarification on that.
Yeah.
On those
Now,
expenses.
in some of my research, I have a partial answer on that. It's like, kind of depends on the size of the pipe and things of
Right,
that
right.
nature.
That's
But
what
if
I
you
need
need one
to
to
clarify.
have, so that's why I want to know, how do we separate?
I'd like to get clarification
Yep.
on that.
I'm looking more at, that the allocation up front. That's the reason I wanted to know how we separate that, because if we look at 30%, 70% allocation, but we're not able to separate those, and they have to fall into one category, then that might, I was thinking that might have to fall into commercial versus residential.
I think there's
Even
enough,
though it's technically residential.
there's verbiage in here that council has the ability to go in and make changes, and I understand you don't want to. We don't want to make changes. to everything.
Well, no, I mean, talking about, I don't want to be making quick changes because we didn't do our homework up front to get it as close as we could.
Okay, so if council has those type of questions they want to see in the ordinance or clarified in the ordinance, or there's a concern about verbiage in there, please share that with Joe. And we can get Joe and myself together and have a conversation with all of the concerns. Can you all get that in by next Friday if possible?
Yes.
Okay, that way we'll plan a meeting the next week, if possible. And then get together on that. Let's come up with a more complete ordinance that we can present at the work session in advance a little bit so that we can get some movement on this, because we need to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Is that okay with the council? Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Because I think you're all bringing in some very valid points, and I have some of those questions too. So we will all do that, and Joe and Joe will work their magic. And we will come up with some more finite answers and get something in place.
Yes, we can.
All right, glad to hear it. Let's move on. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you for the clarification on all of that, guys. Okay, we are moving on now to vote on the amendments to code of ordinances, chapter 38, solid waste. Morris.
Hello again.
Hello.
My favorite topic.
Garbage collection. I can get you right on if you want. Yeah.
That'd be a good photo.
Yeah.
Most of it is the same, what we talked about last time. I did, properly show the changes with markouts in red. I was very proud of myself. I didn't have to call Joe this time to learn how to do that. So the first change on page 3, interruption of service, section 38-31. And this was in response to what would have been 6 months total of non-payment and collection of trash. Struck out the 2 consecutive and added the completion of 1 billing cycle, and then 30 days past that due date. Suspended. Then collection of delinquent fees. This is very broad language, but it allows the council to decide how they would like to collect. The collection of delinquent fees for refuse collection may be instituted by the city by whatever reasonable means as not precluded by general state law. There are a lot of options. Some of them are much more administratively burdensome, some of them aren't. That's just the hook there.
How are we collecting them now? Or are we?
So
These.
right now, we haven't gotten to the issue point of, say, prolonged non-collection. So this was the first time people had their trash suspended. That's actually resulted in over half of our list being paid. Let's say we're down to less than 70 homes now that have paid, when that list used to be over 200. So a lot of those are getting figured out now. I'd say about 10 of those are people who have requested not to have trash services.
Are there any other questions or comments on this or the changes that were made? I think we're for everybody. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and I will ask if there is a motion on the ordinance chapter 38 solid waste.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38 for solid waste, ordinance number 2026-03. As presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any other comments?
Hang on one second. Because unfortunately, I didn't have the red before. So I missed that spending. I've been waiting to read it before I voted on it.
All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you all, and thank you, Jeff. Yes, appreciate it. All right, new business. Starting a moratorium. Joe, I'm going to come up because I know there's a competing.
Hello. So this resolution came about once there was a false understanding that we had the moratorium in place for 1 year in downtown, but it actually expired in June. This created a situation now where anybody can come submit permit plans, and we're just not at that point yet. For instance, sewer allocation policy, architectural guidelines in our zoning ordinance, currently going through a comprehensive plan that's going to change a lot of things. Consulted with Kevin, who informed me that because it wasn't an extension, and it was an actual new policy, this does need to go to a public hearing, our original proposal. So what you have in front of you now is the emergency version of that. This is a temporary moratorium for 45 days. So we can build that policy.
So we're going to go to a temporary moratorium for 45 days, which does not have to be advertised.
Correct.
And then during that period of time, we will get the proper advertising done and put it on for a more longer period of time. Doing it the right way.
I would like that process wise, because of our charter, since this hasn't been introduced yet, there will have to be a vote to essentially make this an emergency vote, since this isn't the second. So there'll have to be a vote that accepting it on the first.
Is there anything else that needs to happen, Kevin?
So our charter requires 2 readings.
This is a resolution, not an ordinance. So
Yeah.
we're good. So it's a resolution. We're good with that.
And how does the resolution content differ, if any? From what we were.
There's a lot of case law.
I mean, it's 19 pages, so there's got to be a little bit of content different. Just give me the highlight.
Right, so 1 to 45 days, not,
Right.
originally I believe it was 6 months.
Right.
The second piece of it is originally it had LDP language in it. Anybody who had been issued LDP can continue the process. This one, it's whatever was issued. So for instance, they had LDP completed that, they cannot continue on to the building permit. So I believe it strikes it there, whatever they were
Okay,
issued.
so basically no exclusions. Kind of sort of.
To this, whatever. Yeah.
Last portion where it was dealt with permits.
So like the gas station will be able to continue.
Right, because they are right at the cusp of being. And they already have their building.
Okay, good. Any other questions on that?
Make a motion, we accept resolution 2026-07 for the 45-day moratorium.
Okay, a motion was made by Maxine. Councilmember McClanahan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you all. And Kevin, thank you for your assistance with that. We appreciate it.
Very well.
Okay. We're going to go on to reports. Public Works. Joe / Brad.
Hello. I feel for public works this past week.
Yes.
It is
Brutal.
very brutal out there. One thing to note that I want council to be aware of, we did institute a heat stress policy, maybe about 2 months ago, a heat stress policy. So depending on what information we're getting from the state, the National Weather Service, I would like to look at that. They do have a wet bulb monitoring system, so that tells us basically what it feels like outside and what the body can handle. I have a little bit of experience with this in the Navy. We use fell curves. Anyone like training with us? It's one of my favorite things. So we're using fell curves to institute rest bombs. For instance, today there was it's almost a mix of 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, just because of how hot it has been. And mandatory a lot of things. So just want to know everyone knows we are looking at that and we do have a policy in place.
That's great. Thanks for protecting our guys.
What's it called? Heat stress?
Heat stress.
But also it's good to know because if, say they're taking a break and you have residents seeing somebody that looks like they've taken a 30-minute break, then they're taking another one an hour or two later. We can explain that, yes, it's hot out there, and we set up there to do that for their.
It changes throughout the day. That's, they have an early start time so they can get the bulk of the outside work done. Along with Public Works, we are excited to be getting new dirt for the field, basketball goals this all day. It's going to look a lot different, especially that baseball field. We're very excited about that.
Great.
Because I'm a baseball person, so super excited.
Speaking of the basketball courts, that fence needs some attention too, because there's a place that's collapsing.
Right, so there's certain things we can try to do ourselves. Looking at that fence personally, it's gonna need a whole rehab in the future. The fence itself is just old and starting to metal. And that's something we're definitely gonna have to look at in the near future. But you are correct, there may be some things we can do right now. Hate the word Band-Aid, but budget-wise, it's what we have to do.
Do we need some signage or something to let people know? So maybe they won't be so rough on that end of the fence?
Parks are a very interesting place. It is one of the hardest places to monitor. It is the hardest utilized places. Wear and tear is just going to be a natural process, especially for the fence, I believe is over 20 years old. So it's just a natural decaying of that material. Especially a basketball court. It's wild out there.
Well, since somebody went online the other day and asked about the new park, could they roller skate on the
Pickleball court.
the pickleball court? And there was about 70% of the residents saying, of course you can, we paid for it. I actually went on there and said, well, maybe Walnut Grove needs to look at instituting a law if we don't have one that it's a finable offense, because just like our basketball court, that would tear that up faster than other things. So as much as you hate to enforce stuff like that, you also want to protect what you put your money into it.
Correct. Anything else for Public Works?
No, I think Brad's done.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Brett. City Clerk, Lynn?
Everyone. I will say Sonia was very excited on July because Walton County finally had 27 citations. That was mostly the 4th of July.
What were they for? Do we know that?
Speeding.
A bunch of stuff they shouldn't have been doing. Georgia State Patrol 0, and then Pavilion rental, we had 4, and the ball field has slowed down, and we only had 7 for July. Then it starts picking back up in August.
Good.
The bank accounts, the general operating account, $551,835. The sewer operating account, $9,606.97. SPOS 2019, $947,897.64. The money market account, $1,466,757.20. The DDA account, $89,786.73. The new sewer money market account, $8,012.46. The LAS sewer expansion, $153,629.43. And then SPOS 2025, $392,070.46.
Lynn, was that in our packet? Could you put that in our packet in the future, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you, Lynn. Code enforcement.
It was Albert.
Hello again. Once again. We look for Greg, just a little lower. So code enforcement had a fun month. There was 7 total contacts, which in code enforcement world means you talk probably 40 people. We did have one that's a retention pond issue that we're handling right now. Usually there'd be a small report to my work and get that to work today, but I will forward it to you. Mostly it's grass. Grass is now growing.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we've been pretty busy on grass. A lot of them, it's just been a quick conversation, next thing you know. So compliance is the name of the game, and it's mostly what we get. It's compliance. Now, so the first piece you'll see on here, finance officer recruitment. We welcomed Tesca, our new finance officer, this Monday. Half council got to meet her already, and I'm gonna have her come in for the next work session so everyone can meet her. She's already started with a sprint, finding things that help us improve our process. Our next step is going to be to review internal policies for finance and getting those processes in place. I'm very excited about it. I'm sure Lynn is very excited. The next is executing the paving plan. We've already contacted John Allman from the county, and we're going to have Aaron come out here and mark the roads very soon. So that is actually moving forward. We're very excited about that. So a little bit of explanation on finances as you read that report later. We're still going through, it's kind of one and the same audit preparation. There are still some things that need to be put into last fiscal year because the event or the billing happened then, and it wasn't to July, but it actually took that year. And then further on that, one note I want to put for council before that is numbers are going to look very odd at the very beginning. The way we do that report, it's going to look like we're either 400% under budget on some things or 300% of the spending as far as the budget goes. And that's just because it's so fresh and it goes month by month instead of the old. So as an example, that would be, we're not collecting property tax right now. It looks like we should have 30,000, then we have 1,000. So just keep that in mind as you look at it. Don't get shocked when you see that we're 700% over budget on something.
Because it's for that month.
Right.
Just for that.
I do have a question,
Absolutely.
if you don't mind. Are there any laws or anything about our spending when we don't have the income in yet? Or can we use funds that are already in our account? It's not a big deal. We just have to account for it at the end of the year.
I believe that's part of why you have to have a reserve of certain months. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Your auditor would let you know if they were not happy with the way you.
Okay.
You're in good shape.
Okay.
But then Joe's point, that's all we have to do.
Yeah, I just didn't actually recall if there was any contingency of, because I am aware that we don't have like one of our highest incomes, which is our property tax, and won't have until November. So we're halfway into our year by the time we get to the majority of our income.
And then LAS expansion. So planning on having our monthly production meeting next week or the following week. I'm sorry. And anyone, as long as you don't have a quorum, is invited to come. But along with that, sprigging has been completed and the spray field op test was complete after some interesting days. But it has been completed there.
Pressure test.
Pressure test, yes. Another big thing that happened is Our municipal court clerk did your annual training, so we're still certified there. Our GIC application has been submitted. We're just waiting to hear back now if we'll be a finalist or not, so fingers crossed. GIC. We're gonna be having employee training tomorrow between 11 and 1, talking about our safety policy and some of the benefits that we have online right now. That's the highlights. Does anyone have any questions on that?
It's awesome, Joe. Hey, mayor's report, very brief, because Joe gave you a good synopsis of all the stuff going on in the city. Just a couple of things. I have moved my office to the back. Or we'll be moving it there. We're getting it changed this weekend, and my office is now the finance office. So you won't find me there, but you'll find Tessa there. Another thing is I start Leadership Walton next week, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to give you a little tickler, and if you ever watch Johnny Carson, we have to do a talent show. If you've ever watched Johnny Carson and the magnificent Karnak, I will be doing something along those lines. So I'm looking forward to that. And my turban just came in today. Sandy looks, I'll send you all a picture. And then in.
I wonder if they're gonna video so we can.
No, I have a disclaimer ahead of time. I have a disclaimer.
Oh, that's, I'll be there.
And my final thing is to put the training tomorrow. I'm also going to, I asked Joe if I could say a few things. And one thing I'm going to be talking with our staff about is attention to detail, professionalism, all of those things. But I also am going to be talking to them about the difference between perfection and excellence. Perfection is a state of being, and it's never the expectation of our office that people are perfect. That will be unrealistic. Excellence is something you go towards, that you search for and you reach for. And that is what we are going to be instilling in the city of Walnut for the staff, and hopefully in our council members, and that we're all going to strive for excellence in everything that we do every day, and that we make those changes that we know that we are falling short of, and we improve upon those things, and we make it a tangible step every day to strive for excellence. And that's what we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be talking about the staff. And we talked about doing a retreat for us, and we're still working on it, guys. And it's going to happen, but we'll be talking about that there too. I think we're all doing really great, and I think this city is moving in absolutely the right direction. I think we've got great people in place, even some of the newer folks coming on. And I'm just really excited about the future. And I think we're going to be very happy with where we're going to be in a year from now, even happier than where we are now, because you can see the changes. So it's great. And that's it for my report. I don't need to take up more time. Okay, we'll move on. Town Hall. Yes, ma'am.
I forgot to mention something just real quick, since you brought up staff training. It's on the September calendar, but the library will be closed Wednesday, September 2nd for an all-day staff training in the library. So we will be in there working and getting trained, but we'll be closed to the public that day. And this is the first one we've ever had in the library.
Great.
Terry Smiley will be doing it, so I'm very excited about it.
That's great. She's wonderful. Yep. Okay, one more thing I want to add, state of the city's address for this chamber luncheons is in September, if you're interested. Okay, all the mayors will be there.
September.
So, it's in September. I'll send it a date. Thank you. Got it. No other town hall. Karen, do you have anything to add today? Okay. Council comments. We'll go ahead and start with Maxine today.
Okay, I probably have a message for Greg. He can just drop my slip for my grant. It's a big old box. But I will get to it before my 14 days.
You could like that, we'll spot check him that. See if he's riding around.
I mowed a week ago and I've got some almost knee high.
I do that too. I call them and turn myself in.
Oh, yourself, so that's hysterical. And thank you. That's what I do.
I said, I know, but I'll fix it, just like somebody else.
Right?
I said, but I thought I was gonna get to it this week.
I don't have anything.
All right. Rachel? Yes? No? You want to change the world, go home and love your family? Okay. I feel like I watched that, the night news with you when you say that. It's a great message, so. Linda, do you have anything to share other than turning yourself in?
No.
Hysterical.
No, but it works, it works. If somebody parks and they're not supposed to park there, and you can't move because you can't drive the straight shift, I called and turned myself in if you let me lie.
So if you have something, there's a night worship at Church at the Grove, Sunday evening from 5 to 7, that will have food trucks. And so it'll be like an event, and it's gonna be a lot of fun if the public wants to attend. It's great.
I do have something.
Okay, all right.
That made me think. At our church, at Oxford Baptist, they're starting a program called Trauma Reboot. And you may know something about that. It was started by veterans that had with PTSD or trauma. And it's a recovery group. And we're starting a group at our church. So if you know anybody that might benefit from that, it's
That's important.
very important. Yeah.
This week, I might.
All right.
I'll go.
We are going to have executive session tonight. We are going to be going into executive session to discuss personnel and possible litigation. And so we need to go ahead and make motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
A second.
All in favor, raise your hand, please. Yes, okay, great. We just want to let everybody know, we have to go into there, might be able to be discussions. But we will come back out afterwards. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to. If you'd rather not.
Joe, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. See the. Pick it down.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
It's always a special. I can move it.
No. Let's do it. So get this done.
Do we have the motion to go into executive session? You just did. I'll catch up in Did we?
I'll turn mine back. Oops, sorry. I'm just gonna be.
Lynn, are we all set? We're recording again? Thank you. I'm going to ask if there's a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Either one.
Second. All in favor? Thank you, unanimous. Did you get that, Lynn? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Erica? All in favor, please raise your hand. And unanimous. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.